ListView is another control to work with a large amount of data. This control can also have columns. That means you can arrange your data in different columns. It is more advanced than the list box control. So let's see how do we program and work with the ListView control. Drag the control on the form. It looks exactly like the list box control, where we can create different columns in it. This control has three important properties we need to learn. The first property is the name property. Let's say this control is for student information. So the name of the control is LV student information. Another important property is full row select, which is set to false by default. We need to set it to true so that the user can select a full row. And if I scroll down, so we will have another property which is called multi-select. Multi-select is set to true. That means user can select multiple rows. We are changing it to false. In our application, user will only have the option to select a single row. So these were the three important properties: multi-select, full row select, and the name property. Let's now talk about the column. The easiest way to create columns in the list view is just click on this small arrow sign to the top right corner and then select the option Edit Columns. Now, in this window, you can create columns and adjust their properties. Now, let's say click on the Add button to add first column. This is the first column, and here we have the properties. The name of the column is, let's say, student ID, and the text that appears on the form, student ID. Now add another column for student name, adjust the name, student name, and the title, student name. And the third column is the grade column, student grade, and the title, the text. Now we have three columns in our list view control. Click OK. And to make this column visible, you will select the view option, and from that option, you will select details. Now you see the columns appears on the form. The width of the column can also be adjusted. Now once again, click on this arrow, select Edit Columns, select the first column, and here we have the width option. Let's say the width of the first column is 100, and here's the second column, have a width of 150, and the third column have a width of, let's say, 75. Right? Now you can see the width is also adjusted. Interesting, right? We have a control where we can arrange our data in different columns. Now, how do we insert data to the columns or to the list view control? Let's first have an example of it before we move on and read data from the text boxes. Just double click on the form and create a load event. This is our load event. Inserting data in the list view is a little bit tricky. We create a variable of list view item type. List view item represents a single row and the column inside. Remember this, a row is now divided into multiple columns, right? Let's create a list view items variable. We can call it single row like this, list view items. As we create the list view item variable, we call its constructor, which is a part of the syntax. This list view item is automatically connected to the first column of the row. For inserting in the first column, we can pass the data to the constructor function. For example, the student ID is 010. This 010 will automatically be inserted in the first column of the row. To insert in the second column, we call sub items property with the add method. Here we have a row with the first column, row, second column. The second column of the row is a name column. So let's insert the name, for example, Sala Askar. And now we will do it again for the third column. Single row, sub items dot add, and let's say the grade is C. So you see the data insertion in the list view. We create a row and assign a value to the first column. This is the second column and the third column. We need to follow the same order in our code as we have all the columns on our GUI. The first column is for ID, the second one is for name, and the third one is for grade. This one is the preparation. We have prepared a single row with data. We can say get ready a row. Now it's now time to insert the row in this list view control. The list view control has a name LV, it's student information, items, add, and now we are going to add this single row on the list to the list. Right? As we run this program, you will see the data is distributed in 3 different columns. So let's run the program and check the output. And so you see the output, right? Data is distributed in 3 different columns: ID, name, and grade. Now we know how to insert data. Create a single row, initialize all the columns, and then add the row to the list view control. Let's move on. Now we will read data from the user and add it at runtime. From the toolbox, take a text box control. This is for student ID. Another control for student name, like this, and a combo box for the grades. Right, so this is our data input options. And now we need a button to trigger the event. Let's have a button, put it here. Now adjust the properties. This is the first text box. The name of the text box is TBX code. The second text box, TBX name. And this is the combo box. Let's call it combo grade. And the button, btn add. Let's increase the font size of the control. Select all the control, find the font property. Here at the font property, increase the font to 12. Right? Now double click on the button to create the click event, and we will start with the combo box. Create a string array of grades. Let's call it grades. In the form load, we can simply initialize the combo box. The name of the combo box is combo grade, items, add range, and assign grades array to it. Let's run the program. You will see the combo box is initialized with all the grades values. Open the combo box, and here you can see all the grades, right? Now, in the add option, we are first going to read the information from the text boxes. Let's say code, tbx code, text, and string name, tbx name, not text. And finally, we are going to read student grade, combo grade, selected items to string. Here we are reading data from the form, and before we create a row and publish data on the form, we must control and validate our variables. So right after that, we will code if statement and control all the variables. The string is null empty. The first variable is a code variable. So when the data is available in all the variables, we can simply create and insert the row. And for that, we have this code. So let's copy this code from here and paste it right here, and change the constant values with the variables, right? We have our values in the variables, the code, name, grade. That's it. So add function is now program. Let's run the program and check the output. So here we go. I'll provide a code 010, the name, Sala, choose a grade. Let's say D, add. Here you can see the data. Let's another person, another student, Donald, and the grade is he, add. You can see data in the list view control. Now we know how to add data to the list box control and in different columns. Let's move on. Next thing we need to learn is get the selected row data back in the program. Let's make this application more interactive. To show the selection, user need to double click on a single row and then we will show the selected row in a message box. So select the list view control, go inside the event window and search for the double click event. Here we have double click event. Double click here and attach the event to the list box control, right? So whenever the double click is performed, we will read the selection. Reading a selected row in the program is actually the reverse process of creating a single row. The property which is used here is selected items, which return an object of list view items type. We need a variable of list view items type, and the variable name is, let's say, selected row. From our list view with student information, selected items, and here we must call the index 0. This index value is important here because selected items property on the list view tips the program as collection. Selected item 0 means first selected row. Even though we don't have multi-select enabled on our list, but we still need to code this index 0 here because of its nature. The selected items is a collection whenever it is used on the list view control. Here we have our selected row, and from that row we can extract the data from the columns. Just the student ID, string ID, selected row, text. If we return the text from the first column, it's string name, selected row, sub items of index 1, text, and sorry, the string is spelled string and string period, selected row, sub items of index 2. Index 2 represents the third column of text. Now you can compare this read operation with this write operation. As we create a row, it is automatically connected to the first column, and the same is here. When we read the text from the row, the text from the first column is returned, which is the ID. And to read the text from the second column, we must specify its index. The first column is 0, the second column is 1, and the third column is 2. Now we have data in our program. We can simply build a message box to show the result. That's it. Let's upload the program and check the output. Now double click on the record to see a message box. Here comes the message box. We selected the following student, code, name, and grade. So the selection is also working. We know how to select the entire row and then extract the data from each and every column. Now the final operation you need to learn here on the list view is the delete operation. In the delete operation, we will simply get the selection, and without extracting or adding anything, we will simply remove the row. Let's put a button here to delete. So here is our delete button. Give it a different name and the text. btn delete, and here the text. Delete. Double click on it. So here we have the delete event. Now, before we apply the delete, we must make sure at least one row is selected. If at least one row is selected, then we can read the entire row or the first row from this line of code. So to make sure if at least one row is selected, we can apply a count property on the selected items that should be greater than 0. If I select the one row, the count property will return 1. If I select two rows, the count property will return 2. If at least one row is selected, the value of the count written in the program must be 1. And 1 is greater than 0. That means we will simply come inside the if statement. And now we will get the selected row. Let's copy this line of code and change the name of the variable selected row to delete. And after that, on our list box, items remove, we will call the remove method, and to the remove method, we will give the row selected by the user. That's it. Delete operation is also program. Let's run the program and check the output. Now insert the data 010, Sala, choose a grade, add 020, let's say Sara, choose a grade, add. Now select the row and delete. You can see the Sara is deleted. Now without selecting any row, if I try to delete, nothing will happen. So I must select a row and then press the delete button. So application is working perfectly fine. So my viewers, that was the list view control we learned in this chapter. And now we have two different controls to work with large amount of data, the list box control and the list view control. In the next chapter, we will create menu strip control. Menu strip control is used to create menus in the application.